Hi, welcome to part 2 of building an Enneacontahedron, and we'll be using the parallel projection process. Due to my limited animation techniques and availability, I'm actually going to reverse build the Enneacontahedron from the Enneacontahedron down to a single hub. Just to reiterate, I just want to make this clear one last time. I know it sounds like I'm overstressing it, but we have Pascal's triangle, and we're on what we would call row 10, because there's 10 different directions for the Enneacontahedron. So there is like a building up in the numbers to the center number, because there's 11 on this row, and then it peaks at 252 and then it goes down. That's what's happening on this chart, and we're going to be disassembling the Enneacontahedron down to from 10 to 9 axes. See how there's 10 here and 9. So we're going to start with the form Enneacontahedron here, and then we're going to go down to 9 axes. And there's only one possible orientation and or form for the 9 axes, which could and should be rather apparent. It's not easy for me even. So anyway, then there are two different forms from there. I will only be showing one of them because there are two axes left, and there's just two combinations. This one here actually corresponds to like a fat rhombohedra. This one corresponds to making a thin rhombohedra. The relationship of the two openings to each other, how the struts fit in. And then the 7 axis is there's 5, which what I noticed is when I first saw this chart, he starts with 3 dimensions. There's 3 axes, but then there wasn't 2 axes, there wasn't 1 axis, and there wasn't 0 axis. And if you go with the Pascal's triangle, and you allow for 0 axes, which would be the point, which would be the very first spot here, if you can see right there, and then at the same time, its mirror image, let's say, is the overall Enneacontahedron, which is in effect a point again, if we want to stretch our imaginations. It's whole, it's complete. So anyway, you as we progress, first we have 0, and then we have 1 dimension, which is going to be an edge, and there's 10 possibilities. Now it's counting all the possibilities because you had 10 possibilities for edges. That's why there's 45. But in reality, now from edge we're making a face or an aerial or 2 dimensions, and there's only 2 different rhombi that are made, but it says 45, and that's the combination of all the possibilities with the 20 openings or the 10. Anyway, then we get to the next one, which is 120. It's very interesting that there are 5 different hexahedra, the Bayer's B cells, A, B, C, D, and E, and there are 120 of them, 10 A's, 20 B's, 30 C's, 30 D's, 30 E's, but there's only 5 possible different hexahedra that can be made at this point. Then we get to this point where there's 210. There's only 7 rhombic dodecahedron. Then we reach this 252. There's only 8 rhombic icosahedron. And then we start to go back, and there's only 7 rhombic tricontahedron. And then here, there's only 42 rhombohedral sides, rhombic sides. And then we're down to this one here, and there's only 2 different, let me get this right, 56-sided, rhombic-sided form. There's only 2 possibilities. And then we're here where this 10 is, there's only 1 possible rhombic 72-sided form. And then here, we at completion, we have 90 faces of the rhombic Enneacontahedron, 60 of the fat and 30 of the thin. Okay, let's do the disassembly. I'm really probably taking up too much time explaining that. Okay, so here's our rhombic Enneacontahedron. And what I first did is I was able to build up to this point, and I was able to put a shell around it. So I'm going to remove that half, or the whole thing, but you'll see that when it comes off here, well, when I ever get to it, okay, you'll see now that I'm projecting out a number of directions. They're all the same. This is the 10th direction that's being sent out, and the and they're coming off of a 72 rhombic faced form. You can see elements of the rhombic Enneacontahedron here, the five fats around a point, and then where there's a three-fold symmetry here. But it's kind of blended together. It's rather interesting. Um, so that's the ninth, or the 10th projected line or edge. I have a chart here. I should be able to tell you how many struts are sticking up. It's, I don't have that number exactly. I can go 22, 29, then it's 37, and I think this one is 46 at struts sticking up. Anyway, they're triangular numbers plus one. I don't know if you noticed that, but okay, I'm going to take it apart again. Now this is going to be real slow, so I'm just going to rattle this off because now I had to put all these individually. And I'm going to put it back together for a second because, you know why? Because I'm like that. It might not let me do it though, but it made me do enough that I'm happy with that because I don't want to lose that, and I'm going to save it again because I may not have saved it. Okay, so now we're going to remove those. I just love the way that looks, kind of. It's poised. Okay, so we're going to start getting rid of all these quills on the back of this form, and it's pretty tedious work. It'd be nice to have some kind of program that did this stuff, but it's not omnisymmetrical, so it's much more difficult, I believe. So here was the initial one that I put up. It's like a little antenna. But now we're going to take that off. Then we're going to take off the skin. I don't have it skinned on every level. So it gets pretty complicated in there. You can see I was doing some work with trying to get the center. But I'm removing the 72 faces, not all of them. And then there's a 56 face, and then there's a 42 faced form. And that's what I'll have the next layer at. So this is all individual work here, and I'm clicking off as fast as I possibly can. I could even pause it and get rid of it, which I think I'll do. Yeah, I'm taking more off here of this form, what I thought it was. No, it's not letting me do it. And we're feverishly taking away struts. I probably should have had all the vertical ones in, so to speak, before I put the connecting ones on the surface, but you gotta see, there it is again. Pretty soon here we're going to be taking off those faces. There is kind of a surprise nugget in here, that's why I'm doing this. Now I think this was at the 7 strut point. It gets smaller rapidly, obviously. Taking off the faces first, then I got to deconstruct the struts. What I'm really excited about here is that what I'm going to be showing you is that there's a piece in here that's made up of 4 Bayer's B cells, and they are 1/4 of a regular rhombic dodecahedron. So what I'm showing here is that in this 5-fold form, there is this little nugget gem of a 4-fold symmetric polyhedra. Ooh, a little too far on the skinning there because I did it out of order. But what I'm getting at is that is the green part is the part that's a regular rhombic dodecahedron. We'll move on here. Now I'm taking apart the icosahedron, rhombic icosahedron. And there is our, I probably should go back to the center, it's all aligned now. Okay, there is a regular rhombic dodecahedron. And this is made up of 4 of the B cells, the Bayer B cells, and I'll show you that next. Well, I didn't do it that way. Actually, I'm sorry. Well, there it is. I didn't really do it exactly that way, but I can recreate it. But anyway, I didn't have the hexahedron. I'm kind of remiss for doing that. I should have the hexahedron as well, just so you have an idea that 4 of these make up the rhombic the regular rhombic dodecahedron. This is the bare B cell right here. Okay. And of course, you know, that's the hexahedron is the three-dimensional form, and that we projected it out from a rhombus, which was the two-dimensional aerial form, which we created from an individual line, and then we take the line away, and there we went from an enneacontahedron, 90-faced, all the way down to just one lone beginning hub. That's the whole point of this demonstration. Thanks a lot.